Thank you very much for staying with us this evening on Mirror Now. Our top focus, skyrocketing prices of domestic air tickets are continuing to increase passengers' woes. Many routes have seen a surge of 4 to 5 times the usual cost just for economy class. In fact, the abnormal prices are burning holes in the pockets of common man. Now, just to put things into perspective for you, if one is planning a trip from Amritsar to Srinagar tomorrow, a one-way ticket may cost you anywhere from rupees 21,000 to rupees 31,000. Meanwhile, a one-way trip from Delhi to Kochi may cost you between rupees 18,000 to rupees 21,000. The ones who are really affected by this is you, the passengers. Our reporters have spoken to different flyers who narrate what they are going through in such times. One such passenger revealed he had to shell out 25,000 rupees just to attend his father's funeral. My colleagues Neha and Shrishti join me from Bangalore and Mumbai, respectively. Good evening to the both of you. Let me go across to Neha first. Neha, as we get more voices on this story, talk to us about what citizens in Bengaluru are facing as far as airfares are concerned.
Well, absolutely, Nivedhana. Very quickly going to speak to two people who are joining us right now. Sir, I'd like to ask you, we're seeing today that airfares are rising across the country. People continue to get impacted. How is this impacting the common man today?
So the airfares, what normally we do in our organization, it's all booked through a corporate. We have an agency through them. We get our all travel bookings and all done through them. Probably they are the one who will be able to answer you in that regard. But if you ask me personally, if I have to travel outside a city or any other country, that's the way the impact is more on these things. Obviously, it's going to affect people. As an individual who are a middle class family, who are a salaried families, then they do get affected by these travel airfares costs. Okay. That's what my opinion on.
Okay. Sir, I want to ask you, we're seeing that politics has broken out over the entire issue, with the ruling and the opposition blaming each other. Unfortunately, people still continue to, spend how much they're spending. Do you think that enough is being done right now by the government to at least try and curb the prices of airfares?
I think in terms of taxes, there's a lot which consumes in terms of airfare. So probably, I'm not sure if the Ukraine and Russia scene is adding to this, but as far as we understand, they are getting cheaper oil and even marketing it to other countries like Europe for that matter. So I'm not sure if it's possible to pass the benefit on to Indian local consumer. Probably there is a possibility. At this moment, I don't know if they're doing anything about it at all. But yes, like you mentioned, there's definitely scope if we are getting cheaper oil from Russia and we're reducing our reliance on Middle East. I'm not really sure what's making the prices go up as far as India is concerned. Okay. So I think last time we heard from the EAM, I think he mentioned about 50% of our oil import is from Russia now. Right, so there's definitely something that can be done. Probably not much is happening.
Okay, all right, sir. Thank you so much. Nivedhana, it's been pretty much the same situation across, even when we were at the airport, when we spoke with passengers, they all had the same thing to echo, that, more should be done. But, of course, primarily right now, it's unfortunate that the entire issue has turned political. And, we'll really have to wait and see when people continue to get some respite from these soaring airfares.
Right, Neha, stay with me. I'm going to come back to you in a couple of minutes, but Shrishti is also joining us from Mumbai. Shrishti, good evening. Go ahead and tell us what the people in Mumbai are thinking about as far as these airfares skyrocketing are concerned.
Well, definitely, I'll just talk to one person over here. Sir, as I have told you earlier as well, the fare of air is very high. आप अगर देखा जाए जो टिकट्स है एरोप्लेन की जो है वो काफ़ी महंगी होती है और गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ ना कुछ कैप लगाना चाहिए. हम काफ़ी लोगों से भी बात की, तो कैसे देखते हैं इस चीज़ को?
एक्चुअली में देखा जाए तो गरीब लोग के लिए है, सरकार को सहायता करना चाहिए कि जो हमको 36 आवर लगता है तो हम 2 घंटे में जाए तो मिनिमम 4,000 से 5,000 तक टिकट होगा, तो वो तो गरीब लोग दे सकते हैं. इतना हाई रेट होता है 20,000, 15,000. मैं अभी गया था, 5 तारीख को गया था, 8,000 देखे, फिर आया अभी 8,000 देखे. तो इतना महंगा में मिडिल क्लास लोग कैसे सफ़र कर पाएंगे? ये तो प्रॉब्लम ही है. तो सरकार को हमारे लिए तो कुछ करना चाहिए.
सर, आप कह रहे हैं 8,000 देके गए, इसके पहले भी आप कभी फ्लाइट से ट्रैवल किए? कितने पैसे दिए थे आपने तब?
मैंने,
और क्या एक्सपेक्टेशंस है आपके?
मैंने ये होली में 7 तारीख को 5 ये मार्च में भी गया था, तब 9,000 दे के गया था।
उड़ीसा।
हाँ, उड़ीसा, मेरा गांव है उड़ीसा। तो कभी हम लोग तो इमरजेंसी में ही जाते हैं, क्योंकि किसी का तो शौक नहीं है उसमें जाने का। हम मिडिल क्लास वाले ट्रेन में जाएंगे तो 1400-1500 में जाते। तो हमको मिडिल क्लास वाले को कम से कम 4 से 5,000 तक रहेगा तो हमको परवड़ेगा, नहीं तो 8-9 हज़ार, हम लोग 20,000 कमाते तो 8-9 हज़ार तो टिकट में जाता। तो हम लोग कैसे, ये तो पॉसिबल नहीं है।
Okay, so thank you for connecting with us. So, these are the voices. I'll just try and speak to a few more people over here. Sir, can I speak to you for a minute? People are busy right now. It's a busy time in Mumbai, but definitely people are, affected with the fact that the ticket fare is very high. We have spoken to, many people since morning, as well as we have, reported since last many days on this particular topic. We have one person mentioned that he was supposed to go for his father's funeral, and then he had to pay 20 to 25,000. So it's really a bad situation for people as well who are trying to opt the air ticket over the railway ticket, but then it costs around 20 to 25,000. So it's definitely a pinch in pocket. We have seen the political slugfest as well on this particular thing, wherein Jyotiraditya Scindia mentioned the fact that there is a particular advisory from them to the airlines that there should be some limit on the fares of the airlines, and there is a significant decrease of 14 to 60% is what he has mentioned. But K.C. Venugopal, a senior leader, has mentioned the fact that it's not true, and whether the airlines who are not making maybe their profits, are they supposed to pull out the money from the pockets of common commuters and common man of this country? So definitely political slugfest, but definitely a pinch in pocket for the commoners is what we have reported since morning as well. Many people are saying that there should be a cap, there should be a proper limit, that and main thing about the fact is that if one is opting for airlines, if one is opting to choose the particular airline, that means he or she wants to go in a certain time to a certain destination, and that's why people opt for the option for airlines. But if it's very costly, then it's definitely not the option for them, and they have to then wait for tickets for trains, and they have to travel for longer hours, is what we have seen on ground.
Absolutely, Shrishti. In fact, we'll get more talking about those points that you have said. But since we're getting more voices on this story, I understand KV Reddy, one of our viewers, has called in from Hyderabad. Mr. Reddy, thank you very much for taking the time out and calling us on Mirror Now to share your perspective. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, madam. I think another reason also government is just exploiting the situation, government itself, because the more the ticket charge, the more GST they will get. Otherwise, even it is like monopoly for companies like Indigo. That is the only company now which is having most of the flights, having other companies closed down due to just their mismanagement problems. It is not actually the profitability problems, actually. The airlines like Kingfisher and Aviation, their management was not good. But now this single Indigo like this, one of the airlines is more dominant, and they seem to be dictating the terms, and government is also quite happy because they are getting more GST, 18% they will get. They are not bothered about people. The airlines are also happy, government is also happy, exploiting the common people. This is just disregard of the democracy, actually. For every product, there is the maximum retail price, MRP. Why not for an airline ticket? It is just absolutely nonsense the way things are moving.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, Mr. Reddy. Thank you very much for taking the time out and talking to us and sharing your perspective as well on the story. But considering we are tracking this particular story relentlessly on Mirror Now, my other colleague Dharani joins me live on the broadcast from Chennai. Dharani, very good evening. We of course heard our colleagues Neha and Shrishti as well getting more voices. But talk to us about what's really happening in Chennai. How are people reacting to this as well?
Well, we have been talking to the people of Chennai for many days now. We've been to the Chennai airport here, and we have spoken to both domestic and international passengers who are traveling from to Chennai, and they've all been having the same opinion that, of course, for the past 1.5 months, the air ticket prices are seeing a steep rise, and especially if someone is trying to book a ticket in the last minute, the prices are like multi-fold. But right now, we may ask about the DMK, because the DMK is the BJP is in the center, and here we have the DMK. Sir, for the past 1.5 months, there is an opinion that the air ticket prices, especially if someone is trying to book the tickets in the last minute, they are like too very high, and the government has been holding meeting after meetings, but then the citizens are telling that they are not very satisfied with the reduction, because until now, the reduction that has happened is not satisfactory, is what they are telling. So why do you think this is happening? And it's with the central government; they have to do something about it. So what do you think they should do?
This is a result of privatization. When you go 100% privatized on a very essential service providing sector, this is what happens. All these private players get a free hand to fix their price. And what you did at one point of time, you're selling the only government-owned airlines completely privatized to Tata again. And then you give a statement, and you give a circular saying you don't have a specific price cap for the domestic airlines. So what will the private players do? They come and try to exploit the situation and make the maximum profit out of it. That is what is happening. Once you don't have a regulation, you don't regulate the price cap, the private players, what is happening is you can go 100 number of meetings and you can just plead to them and request them. Rather, the government of the day has a easier option just to regulate the price, pass a circular saying you cannot keep the price between so and so, depending upon the distance and the time of air travel. That is the most easiest solution that the government of the day has. But rather than that, what they're trying to do is go and initiate talk, please the airline owners, and try to negotiate. That is not going to work. Once you have privatized the sector completely, the monopoly is going to be there. That is affecting the people. You have doubled the number of airports. That is what BJP claims. But you have tripled the cost of the airfare. If that is the scenario, you will have to shut your airports very soon.
Oh, basically, the DMK is telling that the BJP is claiming that they are improving the infrastructure of the airports, but on the other hand, the prices of the tickets are being tripled. So in that case, what is the use of improving the infrastructure when the end consumer is not even able to buy a ticket? Is what the DMK is telling. So definitely, we are trying to record both the public and the political angle to the story up to you.
Right, Dharani, stay with me. We're going to be talking about more points as far as this is concerned, but I do understand we have more viewers of ours who are joining us on the broadcast to share their opinion. I understand we have Mr. Ghosh calling us from Kolkata. Mr. Ghosh, thank you very much for taking the time out and speaking to us here on Mirror Now. Please go ahead and share with us your perspective.
I understand we have Mr. Ghosh calling us from Kolkata. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ghosh, if you could mute your TV in the background, we'll be able to hear you a little clearer. All right, we'll try connecting with one of our viewers, Ghosh, over there once again. But I understand Anil Sood has called us from New Delhi. Mr. Sood, good evening. Please go ahead and share with us your perspective.
Good evening, Nivedhana. If I am not wrong, your name is, I am pronouncing correct? Hello?
Absolutely.
Nivedhana. Okay. Now, see, the most important aspect, the most important aspect, entire government and this machinery is ignoring, for the simple reason that how ticketing is priced and how it is billed and how consumer is charged. It's not only drain on the pockets of the citizens, it is also drain on GST also. Hitherto, there was a system called ITA Billing Settlement Plan, in which all the airlines except LCC were the party. Now, in that fortnightly statement, you used to get basic fare charge plus taxes plus commission and balance amount payable by a travel agent and all that. Of late, all the airlines have migrated to their own web system. Now, today what happens is the agent gets only the price of the ticket and it doesn't get what is the component of ticket. And again, the worst part is that these airlines keep promoting one or the other agent, and then what they do is they announce the package where the corporate tickets or discounted tickets are issued on which no fare is displayed. It's a very serious racket going on with tacit approval of all the authorities. It is not authorities are not aware of this. Because they get cheaper tickets without disclosing the fare, they are not interested in acting. So you need
Mr.
to
Su, thank you very much for
question
taking the time out and speaking to us on Mirror Now as you raise those important points as well. We, of course, will continue that coverage over here. But to take this conversation further, I'm joined in by Professor Sriram Khanna, Managing Editor of Consumer Voice magazine, as well as Ashwini Kakkar, the Managing Partner of Indventure. Thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us here on Mirror Now this evening. Mr. Kakkar, let me come to you first. What do you think really justifies this entire situation?
See, this is a situation that has been caused by externalities. Go First obviously has shut down for whatever reason. SpiceJet has reduced the number of flights. The Pratt & Whitney engines are not working. Fuel prices, while they are still high, have obviously come down dramatically since last year. Taxes are reasonably high, and the summer peak is also, in its full wake. So these are the basic reasons. But I think it should be that the airlines are cooperating both with the nation and with the consumers in these difficult times. I think self-regulation was requested by the Honorable Minister, but the airlines are not paying heed to this. And obviously the airlines, if they do not comply, then the next level of action beyond the advisories need to be taken by the minister. Obviously, the airlines will not lose anything. They will gain further because the seat load factors will go from 80% to 95%, and that will help the airlines to make the same amount of money that they are making, but not by predatory pricing. Again, the government has put in a tremendous effort to increase the kind of seat load factors of airlines by promoting domestic tourism. And if the airlines do not comply, this whole effort of the government in promoting domestic tourism will die, because people are now starting to take short haul flights to international destinations, and that is not a good sign going forward. The airlines should also take this as a kind of invitational pricing for newer customers who are coming in, and not penalize the people who are going because of emergencies, the patients who are traveling from here to there, people who are going for funerals, for various things. So not take advantage of those situations. And I dare say that the profiteering that the airlines are doing at this moment will come to light on 30th June when the quarterly results are announced, and it will be very clear to the public that the airlines have made predatory profits. And I request Mirror Now to actually take up this case, and after the 30th June, when the results are announced for all these airlines, to review those results and tell the public what kind of usurious profits these airlines have made at the cost of the common consumer. I think the airlines are also a responsible stakeholder in the nation. And they should consider that, we are supporting the nation in these difficult times when there are problems. And there has been, for example, an accident in Kolkata. There have been problems in Manipur. Go Air has stopped its operations. So they should express their solidarity both with the nation and with the consumers at this point in time, because they will need the very same consumers when 1,000 new planes are added in the year 2024 by the year 24-25, and all these new customers that are coming in will be desperately needed by the airlines. So I also request the airlines to actually come forward and not display this cartelization, because it seems that not a single airline is coming out with reduced fares. So obviously there is some discussion going on in the background between all the airlines, and they are cartelizing to keep the fares artificially high. So this is my request to the airlines, and I think the ministry will also act if these advisories are not adhered to. I have no doubt that our honorable minister and the ministry, along with other bodies, for example the MRTP and so on, will act and will make things a little bit easier for the poor customers who are facing a very, very difficult time.
Absolutely, Mr. Kakkar. As you break those points down for us and also draw things into perspective, let me take that point across to Mr. Khanna. Mr. Khanna, do you think citizens are going to be at the mercy of corporate giants if we just speak about cartelization, how Mr. Kakkar also did point out?
Are you asking me? Hello?
Yes, Mr. Khanna.
Okay, Madam, I've heard what has been said by the callers. Hello?
Please go ahead.
Can't hear you.
Mr. Khanna, if you can hear me now, please go ahead and make your point.
Yeah, no, I just heard you. Thank you. I'd like to say that the situation is pretty bad, as has been described by a number of callers. And the question is very clear. Is the government and the laws passed by Parliament to regulate the civil aviation sector, which are under the charge of the DGCA and the Ministry of Civil Aviation, led by the Minister, Mr. Sindhia, are they supposed to be acting in public interest, or are they supposed to be watching on the sidelines while the public is being fleeced by the airlines? It is very clear that after the minister authorized the removal of the price cap on fares in August 22, the situation has now become so bad that the consumers have to pay prices which are not blackmail, but the word I'm using is extortion. This is what you do when you hold somebody at gunpoint. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Domestic fares are higher than Delhi, Europe fares in some sectors. And this is true for particular sectors where there is an imbalance between aggregate demand and actual supply. And the supply has been constrained, some by natural factors of problems with SpiceJet and Go First, but also by the established operators who have cut down on their scheduled flights. The schedules that they have given to the DGCA are not being followed. So they are also creating an artificial scarcity. Apart from doing that, they appear to be working in concert. All the airlines are working with one direction, to fleece. So not only it is anti-competitive, but it's anti-consumer. And I would also say that they are using discriminatory pricing. The highest prices are to be paid by common people who are going online and to buying a ticket. They want to fly tonight. They buy a ticket online now and pay through the nose, the extortion price. But still, the airlines, through their agents, are selling to the corporate customers, their institutional customers, on prices much below the ones stated on the website. And these are discounts. And as one of your scholars has already said, he seems to be an insider, that no longer they are giving the breakup of what is the price, how much is the basic fare, how much is the fuel surcharge, how much is GST. They are not giving the breakup. That gives, the whole thing is being manipulated by the airlines to maximize their profit. And I don't blame them when the minister is looking the other side and pretending to tell them, oh, you should do something. While he is telling them, they are making money hand over fist. It's a shame. So even the anti-competitive practices of cartelization
there
have
are
been
no
mentioned.
checks and balances to keep prices in check. But in your opinion, what can be done to actively solve this issue?
No, and even the anti-competition watchdog, the Competition Commission of India, is sleeping over it. DGCA is sleeping. Scindia is sleeping. And this is how the Prime Minister's policy of Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Vikas is being implemented in the civil aviation sector. Please note the difference between what you say and what you do. The public is not a fool. These are the people who will hold you accountable when you come to them to ask them for your votes. So please remember, the people who are going to pay these fares, exorbitant, extortionate fares, are not going to forgive you when the time comes. You are going to get paid back in very, very severe terms. And I would like to say to the senior elements in the parliament and in the government and the Prime Minister, your minister has gone berserk. He is not doing his job. I think there's time you should change him or bring him to follow the public interest and put a cap on the fares. Thank you very much.
Right, Mr. Khanna, stay with me. I'm going to, of course, come back to you as I go back to Mr. Kakkar to get his viewpoints about the same. Mr. Kakkar, just talking about the perspective that Mr. Khanna did share with us, what do you believe is an active way of seeing a solution in this particular case? All right, we're going to try checking Mr. Kakkar's feed. If I could just request my producers to check that. But let me go across to Mr. Khanna again. Mr. Khanna, if you just talk about the fact that many people have, or voices, like you also said, joined us on Mirror Now in this campaign, sharing their perspective. They also believe capping the price is one such solution. Do you believe that as well? Is that another way to look at it?
I'm not able to hear you properly. Can you repeat what you said? The sound is,
right.
cracking.
Many voices who have, of course, joined us on Mirror Now.
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Hello? Don't. I can hear you, but I don't understand your question.
All right. What basically, of course, a lot of voices have been saying that capping is the solution. Is that how you see it too? Capping the price?
Madam, let me take you back to the period during COVID. There was very little service, very few flights, they were restricted. There was very little demand. Planes were running half full, quarter full, 10 people in the plane. And the ministry and the DGCA introduced a floor price, that prices will not go below so much, so that every passenger makes a fair contribution to the running cost of the airline, and there's a price cap. It is also believed that there could be sudden jumps in aggregate demand, as a result of which prices could go through the roof. The price cap were put in at a point where the airlines would still make enough money. They would make profit, they would not make losses. So that price cap worked. You go to a doctor, tell him you have fever, he is going to prescribe you a medicine with paracetamol. Everybody knows paracetamol is going to bring your fever down if you have a viral fever or any other fever. In the same way, we have used price caps, the DGCA has used, the ministry has used, the passengers have seen it. The price cap works. You have one tool in your arsenal which is legally tenable, which has been used by you in the past, and now you're asking, what should I do? Is it an ideal thing? I think it's a stupid question to ask. The only thing you can do in the present juncture of situation is reintroduce the price cap. What are you waiting for? Your waiting only allows them time to make more money. Please do not allow them to make more extraordinary profits, super profits at the cost of individual citizens. And public interest is being thrown to the dogs here. And I'll also like to tell you, there is a law in the country that no public carrier, auto rickshaw, taxi, bus, inner city bus, long distance buses, their fares are regulated. They are public carriers. They cannot discriminate. They must charge everybody the same price, and the prices are fixed by the transport authorities. The airlines are also public carriers. There's a specific law for that. And the law has also some rules called the civil aviation rules, which provide for various kinds of provisions for safety, for customer satisfaction, for comfort, etc. Now let me tell you, these civil aviation rules provide that the airline will compensate consumers when the flight is late beyond a particular time. When the consumer is not given a seat, he'll be compensated. These rules are law. Every airline must follow them. But when these things happen, the airlines do not follow these rules. So what happens to a consumer? He files a complaint. There's nobody sitting on the airport. The DGCA or the Ministry of Civil Aviation do not have a single person to whom they can go and complain and say, look, this guy whose flight is late is not giving me my meal, or he's not giving me my hotel, and he has offloaded me. There's nobody to listen. So what do? They have to write a mail, and the mails are responded at their own time by the airlines, and sometimes never even responded. So the airlines are violating the rules, and the DGCA is sleeping. He's responding to your mails after 1 month, 2 months. Who is going to keep fighting for one meal for a late flight that the airline should have provided when you don't respond on time? So I'm sorry to say that the minister, the DGCA and his officials are hand in glove with the airline industry, because in spite of the demand to have an airline ombudsman and people sitting at the airport to receive complaints and resolve them then and there, they are not doing anything about it. And I think they want to give comfort to the owners of the airlines, and their investors are more dear to the ministry and DGCA than to the public interest at large. I'm sorry to say, this is the only inference I can get as a consumer representative and what I'm seeing for the last few weeks. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Khanna, as you make those significant points, let me take that across to Mr. Kakkar. Mr. Kakkar, I was asking you initially as well, do you believe citizens are going to be at the mercy of corporate giants for the foreseeable future?
Well, I mean, the minister tried pretty hard to send out the advisories, and I equally believe that it is up to the airlines to actually come up and remove the top two buckets. I mean, it's so easy. These are artificially created buckets. If you compare the top two buckets, let's say 6 months ago, and the top two buckets today, these fares are artificially raised, and that amount needs to be knocked off. The top two buckets need to be killed, basically, so that the average person, the person flying for emergencies, the people who are affected by all this, can come back to some semblance of normalcy. I dare say that the fuel fares, one of the airlines actually came on television and said in your program that the fuel prices are fairly high. Let me remind them that last year the fares were 1.4 lakh rupees per kiloliter, and at the same time this year the fares fuel prices have dropped from 1.4 lakh per kiloliter to 89,000 per kiloliter. So the fuel prices have also dropped, and they should not blame only the fuel prices for the high cost of flights. I think the other thing is that they must treat fares as an invitational price for getting more people to fly and to create long-term demand instead of short-term predatory pricing, which they are following at the moment. I think these factors really come into play, and I think the airlines will not lose. They will actually gain, because if their pricing is a fair pricing, then the seat load factors, which are currently at about 80%, will rise to 95%, and they will actually end up making more money. This is the Laffer curve effect, which they must follow. I urge Mirror now to actually have
Mr. Kakkar,
a program
I would
to
have to
review
interject
all
you
this.
there. But before we wrap up, let me just go back to Mr. Khanna. Mr. Khanna, could you explain what do you mean by when you say they are hand in glove?
Pardon, can you repeat that? I can't hear you. I didn't
You
hear
know, when
your
you were
question,
earlier
madam. Can you
making
repeat
those
it?
points, Mr. Khanna, could you please explain what do you mean by when you say they are hand in glove?
I can't. Your sound is cracking. Can you repeat the question?
All right, Mr. Khanna, when you were making points earlier, when you were breaking down those points for us and drawing things into perspective, you did say they're hand in glove. If you could just break that down for us as to, if you could explain what you meant when you said they are hand in glove.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, when I say, where is somebody hand in glove? You have a policeman who's supposed to be policing in the neighborhood that there is no crime. And his constable and the inspector is taking a round, and there are constable on the street, and they can see somebody stealing a car. When the inspector gets to know that somebody is stealing a car, he's supposed to go and catch them right then and there. That's his job. But if he looks the other way and he goes to the chai shop, orders a chai, and takes out a cigarette and is drinking tea instead of catching the servant, then what does it mean? Or he's in conversation with his boss talking about his postings and his problems of the Thana. This is what is hand in glove. The English word is complicit. कि इन दोनों की मिली भगत है. What I'm saying is that the minister is giving indications that it doesn't matter what these airlines do. I am just looking the other way. So this is the analogy I'd like to give you. If the minister was serious, if he's talking about number of airports, very good. He's talking about increase in traffic, very good. But the basic economic interest of the citizen has to be safeguarded. A quality service at affordable prices. And his Prime Minister promised that people with Hawaii Chappal will be able to afford the airlines. These fares cannot be even afforded by those having Bata shoes. The only people who can afford them are the ones with Gucci shoes or the ones with shoes from 7th Avenue of New York or Paris. What does it mean? It is complicity. It is hand in glove,
Mr. Khanna,
madam.
that is a serious
So if hand in
charge
glove
because
has
the
a sign on
government
him,
has said
it's
that they
called
have intervened.
complicity. It is a serious charge. But who is bothered about charges? There are 50 channels and there are 10 people speaking against it. The guy couldn't care less. That is the arrogance of power of this government. That ministers don't wake up when they see. They wake up when there are demonstrations, when they are their name is dragged into the mud, and when there are demonstrations taking place. I'm sorry. If you are waiting for airline passengers to create a demonstration, I'm sorry, they are not going to do so. They are not organized. They don't have the time. And they'd rather keep quiet and wait for the time than they can pay you back. And let me tell you, your time is coming for payback. Lot of people in this country are waiting to pay back many ministers who didn't look after their interests when they had power in their hands. And Mr.
Right,
Scindia
Mr. Khanna,
is one
I have to
minister
interject you there.
who has
Before
the
we
power
wrap
in his
up,
hands
Mr.
and
Kakkar,
is
let me
not
come to
stopping
you.
these
Before we wrap up,
robbers.
your final words on how the situation can get better for passengers.
Well, I think there are multiple things that can happen. I think one is if responsible airlines, at least one or two of them, show their gumption and they knock off the top two brackets that they have, the buckets of fares which are so usurious and predatory. That is one good thing that could happen. I think the Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Commission could take some corrective action. The Competition Commission of India could take some corrective action. The DGCA could take some corrective action. The ministry could take some corrective action. And I think somebody should say that, we are with the country and with the consumers of the country, at this difficult time when the country is facing some, internal problems. And I also feel that the same airlines will cry for the same customers when the number of planes increases from about 700 to more than double that number in the coming year. And at that time, the customers will be the most valuable commodity. And we shouldn't have a situation where we, as customers, need to boycott a particular airline or a particular kind of, airport or a
Right, Mr. Kakkar, I
particular
have to interject you there. I'm afraid that's all that we have the time for. But we at Mirror Now, of course, will continue to put the spotlight on this story and bring more for our viewers. But for the moment, we leave it at that. And we're also slipping in a short break here on News at 7. But lots more to continue on the other side. So stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.